continue to move forward. And I thought I'd bring some business owners and network experts to the show to help you out. Please, please get a pad and pen and get ready to grab some information. We're going to start tonight with a very special young lady. She started about 11 months ago her business. She is, and I got to tell you up front, someone very near to my heart. It is my niece. Mia, would you introduce yourself and tell the people a little bit about you?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
No problem. As you said, my name is Mia Terry Simpson. I was born in Asheville, but I grew up in Greenville, South Carolina. From there, I went on to play basketball at Mars Hill University now. From there, I went to work with my family business, which is a janitorial company. But on the side, I never stopped working out. And from there, I just kind of started training one-on-one, just sports, not even health and fitness, sports, just athletes, just pure athletes.
Just going at it.
Just pure athletes. And I actually had a friend who kept asking me after I graduated to train her. And of course I had a degree in it, but I was like, but I like sports. And so it just happened. I gave in one day and I never looked back. And that was maybe 2 years ago.
And you started training one person and then it just kept going?
One person from health and fitness. And it was one of my good friends. And we still train together this day. She comes for free now.
Okay.
And after that, my cousin and I, we just started growing. He went to App State. He has an exercise science degree. So after he graduated, he came back to work for the janitorial company. Okay. And he also started training on the side. And what really pushed us, his dad, which I call my dad as well, he started telling us his retirement plan. That retirement plan was in 10 years. And so we were doing deliveries one day and I was, what are we going to do? And he said, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to train. And we started training at Asheville High and all the recreation centers outside. Okay. So just by word of mouth, we kept, people kept coming. And 11 months to the day is when we had enough clients to open up our own building.
And what was that transition like, and where did COVID come in to play?
COVID came in maybe 3 months in. 3 months in. But it was
you now have brick and mortar, right? You have a building, a location, and 3 months into your feel good self, COVID came in.
Yes.
How did that impact you?
It impacted us in the beginning, big time. Okay. We were shut all doors down, but we took about a week. We got ourselves together. We came up with a plan.
Wait a minute. Because remember, I told people to get a pen and a piece of paper. You came up with a what?
We came up with a plan.
How important is it that after you find yourself in the midst of something that you clear your head and get a plan? How important is that?
It's very important. One thing that I always tell myself, never make a decision with my emotions. Never.
You sound like your grandmama. You know that, right?
Absolutely.
So you come up with your plan. What happens?
After we came up with the plan, we decided we're going to take advantage of social media because social media isn't shut down. So we decided that we were going to do free workouts online. And he picked me. He did not pick himself. He picked me. So I did free live workouts on Facebook, Instagram, for at least 2 months straight. So I was working out. I probably had 12 workouts a week because I still got my own workout in, but we did the live. And from there, we were able to get individuals that's at home. So they were coming in on their lunch breaks. They were coming in right after shift. And even in the sports platform, he was just putting up content for athletes to do. And from there, the athletes were texting him, hey man, like I'm doing everything you're doing, because the athletes weren't doing anything either. So from there, we were just building our clientele from there. So COVID is a horrible thing, but it was also a blessing in the midst of all that.
Well, that is what I want to talk to my next guest about, and I want you guys to kind of jump in here. Don't sit back and wait. But one of the discussions I had with Jen, is opportunities. But before we get started, I want you guys to understand that I made a promise. I wasn't going to just go get anybody to come and talk to you. I wanted to get someone who had substance, style, who was a person of great character. And you're not going to get anyone better than Miss Robinson. Miss Robinson, would you please introduce yourself to the audience and tell them about you and what it is you do?
Thank you for that really beautiful introduction. I appreciate that. I am Jenny Robertson, and I live in a suburb just a little bit north of Baltimore. I can be downtown in about 12 minutes. And 20 years ago, through a series of events, I'm a big believer in following the signs that pop up in our lives and saying, wow, that keeps showing up. So let me investigate that. I threw a party at my house. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, I think, later. And that turned into me creating a women's community in Baltimore. At the time, it was called the On Purpose Networking for Women. It has since changed to the On Purpose Women Global Community. And up until COVID hit, we had 9 in-person meetings a month, 8 in Maryland and 1 in Richmond, Virginia. And I'll talk a little bit more about COVID and how that impacted. But also about 16 years ago, I started a magazine called On Purpose Woman, which was a print magazine distributed all around Maryland and all the locations where we had meetings. And 4 years ago, through a series of circumstances, decided to put it on hold. And January of last year, went online with the magazine. So it's onpurposewomanmagazine.com if you want to check that out. It's a force for good, is all I can say about that. And I've also, over the years, I had a radio show on WCBM in Baltimore a number of years ago, and recently with a co-host have started the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show that's available on YouTube. We do it much like you're doing it here. We do it in a group on Facebook. And so everything that I do is about shining a light on women. It's about giving women an opportunity to be connected to other women, to be seen and heard in a greater way, to be more comfortable being in the spotlight, to really talk about what they're good at. I'm so impressed with Mia talking about, she's good at this. And I think women, especially women of my generation and in between our generations here, still have difficulty with that, because we were brought up to, not talk about ourselves, to be seen and not heard, and to be polite and good girls. And I tell people I'm a recovering good girl. So that's basically what the business is about. And where do you want to go from there, Ricky?
Let's talk about you being the general. Guys, I want you to understand, it's hard doing what we do. And when I was growing up, there was a saying that game recognizes game. You have an awesome ability to bring people together, primarily women. What made you bring women from all over the world together? What was the start of that? I mean, when you dive deep.
Okay. Well, I've been doing it all my life. Even as a little girl, I would start clubs and invite other little girls to come in to my club meeting. I would have all kinds of clubs for different things, like a Barbie club and a book club and a record club. And even in my corporate career, my background is in corporate finance, I always had this knack for remembering people and what they do. And I would meet somebody else and I would think, oh, you know who you need to meet? Let me connect you. And I would just remember their names. I would remember things about them. And 20 years ago, this is actually 21 years ago, I had left my corporate career. I was working for a seminar company, a personal growth seminar company I'd been a client of and had gone through their facilitator training. Mm-hmm. And I also was the area director for an organization called the Whole Life Expo, which did this amazing big event in Baltimore, 3-day event. And we were wrapping that up, and I had met some of the most amazing women. And so I decided to throw a party at my house. And this was really, I was barely on the internet yet. And so I sent out handwritten invitations. I called it a girlfriend party. I said, you all are really cool women. I bet you know some cool women. Invite them, show up at my house. It was on a Saturday, and bring food. And 65 women came to that first gathering at my home.
Wow.
Because what I've since realized is how much, and I really can't speak for men about this, you can speak to that, Ricky, but women crave community. We crave connection with each other. But my experience in the corporate arena was not so wonderful. We were competing for the one spot. We were, kind of beating our heads against the glass ceiling and not really playing very nice together with each other. But that first meeting at my home, women were connecting in a way I had not experienced. Some of them had businesses, some of them didn't, but they were sharing themselves. They weren't just talking about what they did or where they went on vacation. All that I call idle cocktail chatter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't give me a clue who you are. They were talking about things that mattered. And I didn't know what that was, but I knew I liked it. And let me just mention that I did that meeting for three more quarters. So the whole 1999 to March of 2000, I held 4 meetings, and different groups of women came. Some of the same women came back, and I observed 2 really important things. One is that women were connecting in a way I had not experienced. While I didn't have a name for it yet, I loved it. Wow. The thing I didn't love is that I would give everyone an opportunity to talk about themselves for a minute or so. And there were many women who had such a hard time doing that. They didn't know what to say. They couldn't make eye contact. They couldn't use what I call your big girl voice and be seen. Some of them had businesses and they needed to be able to tell people they were good at it. And they had a hard time doing that. And that kind of broke my heart and kind of ticked me off at the same time, because I'm thinking somebody has given these women, has really sold them a bill of goods about who they are. And they need an opportunity to see it differently. So what would happen if I took this out of my house, created an organization around it, and give women an opportunity to show up and practice being who they really are?
Well, let me jump in here
20 years ago in March.
Let me jump in here real quick, because you again, we talked about opportunities when you and I talked. One of the things that, as a former drill instructor and a brother to 5 sisters, I've always believed that you've got to be creative and finding the opportunity, being creative with it. But you also spoke about the what should we call it? Not courage, but having a space to practice being out front. Mia, as an athlete, what do you experience when it's something you haven't tried before? Does that, having the ability, the courage, and the support to jump out there and do something, I find women in sports are good at that. What would you encourage women to do to become better at jumping out and not being afraid to fail?
That's good. As an athlete, a lot of good athletes aren't used to failing. So my advice is just do it. Just use the Nike slogan and just do it. Because a lot of us, to be honest, a lot of us are afraid to fail because we've never failed. When you leave high school, you're good. When you go to college, you're still good 9 times out of 10. So when you do fail, it's hard. It's a gut wrench, right?
Okay.
So really, to be honest, the first time I really failed was when I got out of college, right? Because if you're good in college, you're just working, and you have the success. But the first gut wrench was when I got out of college. So like, I didn't go into my career that I set out to do. Like, I came back home and I had to work.
Okay.
A regular 9 to 5. So like, that was failure for me. But like, because of how I grew up, and one thing I did was kind of like Miss Robinson, like her business, I surrounded myself The best thing I did was surround myself around women that encouraged me, that pushed me. And not only, it was different ages too. It was women my age, women like older than me. So like that's what helped me like conquer my fears in a way.
Well, there we go. And Miss Robinson, I'll ask you, how important, I mean, down to the core, is it to be around people that push you, that drive you to better?
I think the description I like to use is I want to be around people who remind me of who I really am
Mm-hmm.
on a really deep level. So, and who encourage me, but who also won't take my BS. I have really good friends who will say, Jenny, now come on. Do you really want to do that? Are you really, is that just an excuse? We're kind of at that same level in our growth. And so we can have these great meeting of the minds. But I think it's extremely important to have people around us who reflect who we are, who want the best for us, have our backs. Mm-hmm. And I tell women a lot, if you've got a dream that you're working on, be really guard it. Yes. And be careful who you share it with until you're so confident about it that nobody can knock you off course. Because well-meaning people will sometimes tell you why it won't work. Because they're afraid
your dream.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I find that the people who tend to, say it can't be done are people who've never tried to do anything.
Well, I you know what? I got to agree with you. The people that told me I couldn't do this hadn't done anything. The people who told me I couldn't do this didn't have a lot of faith in me, I guess. But one of the things that helped me, and I now preach it, if you will, you've got to have an accountability team, guys. If you don't have an accountability team, just as these two great leaders are telling you, people who surround you, people who push you, people who don't take your BS, I can't do that, I don't have money. This ain't the time to give up, give in, or give out. This is the time to surround yourself with the best people you possibly can. Now, let me explain accountability. No. Ms. Robinson, who is your major accountability team partner? And then we'll go to you, Mia.
Well, for now, it's actually my husband. Because he's been retired for probably 17 years. He does a lot of things, outside of his work that he did. But we're here together. We're quarantined, and he knows my dreams. He knows my stories, and often I'll go in and say into his office and say, and he'll say something that'll just in a loving way that'll just bring me back to the truth, But I also have a number of other women that I know will tell me the truth. And the key here, an accountability partner has to also have your best interest at heart and not have an agenda. Because, he doesn't have an agenda about what I do. He doesn't have any underlying, I hope she doesn't do that because it's going to take away from this. We've worked through all that over the years. But I want people in my life who won't try to talk me out of things just because they're afraid of it or they don't know how to do it. I remember the first time I went into my husband's office, which is right next door to mine, and I said, I think I'm going to start a magazine. And he goes, well, how are you going to do that? Because he's a very linear thinker, very analytical, and I'm big picture. And I said, I don't know, but I'm going to do it. And so he's learned over the years not to ask me how I'm going to do something, to just kind of help me hold the space, and I'll decide if it's going to work or not.
That sounds like my wife and I. That sounds like, I jumped out and said, I got all this experience. And I want to say to any woman listening, don't discredit your experience. A lot of times we don't do things because some past experiences or because someone spoke something into your life long ago. And as Mia said, maybe you failed long ago, but this is a new time and a new place. Mia, same question to you. One, who's your number one accountability team partner? And tell us a little bit about it.
My number one is my friend Kim.
Okay.
If you tell her something, you better do it. Hands down, because she will ask you how, when, where, what's your plan, and she will not let you let your dreams dry up. There's no question about it. And then of course my second one is absolutely my husband, because if you tell him something, he'll ask you 50 million questions about it. Today, tomorrow, ask you how are you going to do it, when you're going to do it. He just holds you accountable, but in a very nice, sweet way.
Well, he was all over it today, I can tell you that.
If I get any bigger, he might be my road manager.
Well, one of the things that both of you said, and if you're listening, it's easy to become an accountability partner. That the job of an accountability partner is to give solid advice that is not going to impede the person you're talking to. They need that honest advice from you. I recommend that you have 3 to 5 people that you can pick up the phone, tell what you're going to do, and then their job isn't to manage you through it. It's simply to check on. Notice what they both said. They support. They ask questions. Hey, you said you were going to do X, Y, and Z. Where are you with that? Jenny, when the opportunity came to do that magazine, what was the biggest challenge? Because a lot of people don't know where to start in anything they want to do, but they're frustrated because they know they're supposed to do something. Just before the magazine hit your head, what was your biggest challenge to produce that? What was your biggest challenge there?
Let's see. My son had just married a young woman who had graduated with a degree in graphic design. And I said to her about a week after the wedding, if I gave you articles and ads, do you know how to create a magazine from it? Because I had no clue, and I wasn't about to add that because I know what my strengths are, and I'm not going to go learn how to lay out a magazine. Her eyes lit up. She got super excited. She goes, I love that kind of stuff. And so that was not an obstacle. We met with the printer and she learned how to do everything. I had a network firmly in place, and I had women taking out ads in the magazine, and we didn't even have a mock-up yet. They did it. They stepped out on faith to support me because I had been supporting them for some time. And so, and then I founded just some women who would distribute for me, who would, take it around to all the places. So really, I don't think there was a huge challenge. It's so interesting because I've never really thought about it. Was so clear that I was supposed to do it that things just fell into place, because I've also learned over the years that if something is really hard and I'm banging my head against the wall, it's not mine to do. Especially at this point in my life, it is not mine to do if I have to try to make it happen. That if I'm paying attention, doors will open, people will show up, the ideas will come through. And that's what happened with the magazine. So we started out doing it every other month, and after a few years, we went to quarterly because it really is a lot of work to do in between. But we did that for 12 years. We printed this magazine. And so I'd like to tell you there was a big problem, but I think the better answer is there was so much clarity that I was supposed to do it, because I've been thinking about doing a magazine. When I lived in downtown Baltimore in this renovated neighborhood, I wanted to do a magazine about things to do in Baltimore, cool things happening in Baltimore, and went to the library. This is before the internet, and got, checked on books on how do you create a magazine. And I remember in the early 80s, they said, if you want to start a magazine, it would be about $250,000 to get launched.
What?
In 1982. And I remember thinking, if I had $250,000, I would buy an island, or something like that. Of course, the only thing that was going on then were these big magazines, and there were not free publications out there. We created a free magazine paid for by ads, but that wasn't even on the radar. But somehow that thing was still back there. It was back here. I never let go of that idea. But I think the thing I said about, I had a network in place. I often see people try to create a network when they need it, rather than building it up and supporting it and nurturing it in advance. Women will call me and say, I just lost my job. I need to network. No, you needed to network 2 years ago.
and you're in trouble
So
now.
that you
And
have those people, that you can call and say, I need help.
that's huge. Mayor, when you started, did you have a large network, or how was it for you?
I did not. I don't know if you remember, even before we started the gym, but you were coaching me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably the hardest thing, stepping out. Remember when I was an athlete, I was really good at what I did. I didn't fail. That was just one thing. I didn't do anything that I wasn't going to fail at. So I wasn't used to that. So the fear of stepping out and doing something that I actually love, that was probably my hardest thing. So, but I'm the type of person, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Especially if you're successful at it and you're telling me what to do, I don't need you to hold my hand. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. And one thing that, if I had $1 million, I give you some of it.
Wow.
But I don't, but I will someday. But one thing you made me do was the vision board.
Yes.
And put the vision board, this is when I was single, I put the vision board right in front of my bed and I looked at it every single day. And one thing on there was a company, and it was a t-shirt company. And it was a Serena Williams. I wanted to sculpt my body like Serena Williams, and travel. I did probably 50% on my vision board. We built a company. We sell t-shirts. And by the time I got married, I had the Serena Williams body.
Yes, you did.
So I did all that, but one question you kept asking me that just irritated me.
I'll say it for you. It irritated the hell out of you. Go ahead.
Absolutely. There you go. You kept saying, now you know, what are you going to do? And it kept playing back in my head. Now you know, what are you going to do? And for me, like, that was a challenge. I was like, well, what are you going to do? Like, and don't get me wrong, in my current job, I'm making great money. It just wasn't my passion. It was what I was doing to pay the bills. So once I stepped out, that was it. And once I got a little taste, once I got that first health and fitness, because I had always trained sports. Like, that was easy. That was easy for me. But the health and fitness part, once I got that, it was a done deal. Like, after that, there was no challenge. There hasn't been really a big challenge. Not even, to say it in the system, not even COVID. None of that has been difficult.
Well, let me say this. First of all, to anyone listening, and Mia, thank you. I like the fact that you want to give Uncle $1 million or part of it. Don't do that. I'd rather you give it to somebody else who can make a difference in somebody else's life. We're good. But how important is it to have a coach?
It's very important. A coach, they're not on the floor, so they can see things before you see them. And which means if they're a coach, they have knowledge that you probably don't have. So they're imparting something in you from them to help you to grow or help you be successful, because ultimately, if you're successful, they're going to be successful too, because they're connected to you.
And Jenny, you've helped a lot of women. I don't know if you've experienced the same thing I have. My niece is an exception. She's a go-getter. She's been a go-getter since she was 4 years old. A lot of people want to coach, but then they want a coach to coach on how to coach them. How do you handle that? Because you've coached at this point now thousands of young and up and coming leaders and even some more seniors. How do people prepare for a coach?
Well, I actually did one-on-one coaching back before it was an industry, back before there was certification. And I remember, somebody said, what are your qualifications? And I said, life. I've done this. And I didn't like the one-on-one coaching for that reason. Is I would get so frustrated when I would help people lay out a plan. By the time we meet again, you're going to do these things. They agree to it. It's not just me telling them what to do. And then they come back and have all these excuses. And I found that really frustrating. I prefer the group dynamic to that, where we get a whole bunch of people together. But I took on a coaching client just last week my first one in a couple of decades probably, because she was so compelling.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really excited about working with her because she's ready and she was clear. I think, and to answer your question, I think one of the things that you need to be clear about before you start is what you don't want. Because often, and I just did an interview today with on getting out of your own way, which is a signature workshop that I do. I'm a member of a women's group on Facebook, a paid membership group, and they asked me to come in and teach a class, just a half-hour class on getting out of your own way. And I talked about how you really need to know what you want first. But for women especially, it's kind of hard to answer that question. And I'll ask a woman, what do you want? And I'll either get this blank stare or I just want to be happy, but not a clue what happy even feels like or what the experience is. So I think if you have trouble coming up with what you want, make a list of what you don't want, because that's an easy list. We all know what we don't want. And then start to flip it. So if I don't want to be broke, then what do I want? I want abundance. If I don't want miserable clients, what do I want? I want to attract the perfect clients for me. And so I think that's the first step. What do you not want? And then find someone who can help you flip it and get clear on what you do want. But you have to be committed. I said to this woman, or I said yes to her, I said, you have to be committed. And here's how long we're going to work together, and here's the structure of it. But you have to be committed to do the work, because it's no fun for me if you don't. It's like I'm a talking head, I'm sure you've experienced that, Ricky.
You know what? I think both of you said it. The frustration for me is when, first of all, I don't lay out a plan for anyone. Amir, when you think back to our coaching, you laid out your plan. After you laid it out, the question becomes, and I love this question because I haven't met one person yet that didn't like it. And that is, now that you know, what are you going to do about it? Just as Jenny said, write down what you don't want. Now, if you didn't write that down today, something's wrong. I don't want to be broke anymore. I don't want to go into, for me, it was, and I'll be honest with you, once I saw that corporate had a glass ceiling, not just for women, but for minorities as a whole. Once I saw that no matter how hard I worked, no matter how successful I was, there was always going to be a limit to where I could go. I had to make a decision. Would I stay there, make great money, or was it time to, as Steve Harvey would say, make that jump? And I woke up one night out of a dream that said, you're not doing enough. And it bothered me for about 2 weeks. That's all I kept hearing. And I asked myself the hardest question I've ever had to answer. Now that I know, what am I going to do about it? And I stepped out on faith, and I started One Due North, and I haven't looked back since. I remember going in and saying, I'm done. And they said to me, you're not going to leave. You make too much money, and what else can you do? This is what people will do to your dream. They will try their best to keep you where you are, especially if it's good for them. Most people want you to stay where you are when it's good for them. Okay. Now I want to go back to something you said, Mia, the vision board. Had you done a vision board before?
No.
What was the benefit of having that board?
I saw it every day. I saw my dreams in front of my face every single day. I put it where I put it every single day so that I could see what I wanted every day.
Now, do you know how silly that sounds? People who hear you go, that stuff don't work. What would you say to them?
It does work, because you can't get that out of your head. Like if you look at something every day, you're going to remember it. You can't not see that.
And would you recommend it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what say you, Ms. Robinson?
Oh, for sure. I've done so many vision boards, and it's so interesting to look back and see what has transpired, from years ago, what was on the board. And back to what you were saying, Ricky, about, now that you know, what are you going to do about it? I always like to say, once you know, you can't not know.
You can't unknow once you know.
You can't unknow it. And I remember, one of the pivotal points in my life was when my first husband and I were deciding, well, I was deciding to leave. And I sought therapy. I sought help with getting clear. And my first session with this wonderful woman, she said, well, what's going on with you? And I said, my marriage is in trouble, but more than that, I don't like how I'm being in it, like who I am right now. And she got up and she walked around her desk. She sat down next to me. She took my hand. She looked me right in the eye. And she said, well, guess what, Jenny? You don't have to do it that way anymore. And I was 32 years old. And I said, I don't. And it was like the shutter opened and a little bit of light got in. I didn't know it at 32. It's almost embarrassing to say that now. I have a lot of compassion for that young woman, but I didn't know I had choices. I didn't know that I was in charge of my life. And enough light got in. And once she said that to me, I couldn't not know it. I could ignore it for a while and I could try to like push it off to the side. But that was the impetus for me making all kinds of changes in my life, was that one sentence that she said to me. Well, and I think that, but that's why we have to also pay attention. We just have to pay attention to those voices in our head and the knowing. Because to the extent that you know it and you don't act on it, you will be joyless.
So two things now, guys. If you're listening to this, you have got to get this. And then we're going to get a third one here. You got to ask yourself, now that I know, what am I? See, you are responsible for your happiness. Too many people put other people or other things in charge of their happiness. So now that I know that I'm not where I want to be, it becomes real simple. What am I going to do about it? Until you ask yourself that question, you're going to remain stuck. And stuck stinks. I don't mean no harm, but my grandson would say, Papa, man, that stinks. Being stuck stinks. And one of the greatest ways to get unstuck, and Jenny, I want to thank you for putting something out there. I would encourage not just women, but men always as well. It's important to seek out people who can help you. Going to a counselor is a great thing. Discovering who you can become is a great thing. It really is. And knowing that once you become that, it's okay to want more. Question for you. How can women who don't have a network currently create one? We'll go back to you, Ms. Robinson.
Okay. Well, first, I think they need to know why they would want one and what they would do with it. Mm-hmm. So if you're craving that, and I will go back to my corporate arena, I wasn't a real fan of women. I had more close male friends than I had women friends because, like I say, we weren't playing well together. We hadn't been trained how to do that. We didn't play sports when I was growing up. I hadn't learned how to lose to a woman in a game and like men do and then go have a beer later, And so we were competing for all kinds of things, not just jobs, but men and shoes. And it was just silly stuff.
Wow.
But we weren't, it was kind of that, we don't want to work for women. We were saying that back in the day. I don't want to work for a woman. And I'm thinking, but we're talking about ourselves here. So I think that has shifted a lot. I still hear some younger women in the corporate arena say it's kind of tough. But I think that especially as we get a bit older and get a bit wiser, that we let go of this competition piece. I'm a fan of, there's nothing wrong with competition, but it doesn't have to be about you're better than me or I'm better than you or you lose and I win. It's about, can we support each other? There's enough for everyone. So we first have to decide that if I'm going to have a network of people around me, I have to be willing to include them and collaborate if it feels right to do, to want as much for them as I want for myself, to not get, I remember back in the day when I started speaking and actually charging for speaking. And I saw a notice that a woman who I'd been on the same platform with at Clemson University specifically, I did a lot of their professional development for women seminars, and I would do keynotes or breakout sessions. There was a woman I got to be friendly with, and I got a notice that said she had gotten this great gig. And I remember going, well, how come she gets to do that? How come, feeling all like sorry for myself. And I stepped back and I said, because she did some work that you didn't do, Jenny. She put herself out there and I hadn't. But yet it was easier to lament that she got to do it than to actually look at, if I really wanted that, I would have taken some steps to do it for myself. So I think the clarity about a network, and a network is give and take. You don't create a network to just take.
And that's the mistake.
Often I'll get an email from someone I've never met wanting me to help them with something. And I'm thinking, could we say hello first? Could we have a date?
That is huge. When I go back up to you, Mia, what do you say about how to create a network if you don't have one? Someone like yourself, you're young, you're running a company, two of them, as a matter of fact, and you're now getting into your married life, but women who don't have networks. What would you say to them about how to create one and what to do with it? And then I'm going to tell you something that Zig Ziglar said. Go ahead, Mia. Okay.
Yeah, it's very important, especially for entrepreneurs. So for someone like myself, I'm not a huge talker. But one thing I learned in this business, networking is number one. It's all who you know. And I learned that from the janitorial side. At some point, yeah, people are going to click on your website. That's cool. But where you're going to get your business from is who you knew. So when my dad would go this place, we would notice, like, we honestly would say, oh man, he talks so much. Right? We literally took a trip to Canada. Side note, we took a trip to Canada as a family, and he knew someone in Canada. And we're like, what in the world? But now we know, like, because he did all that networking, because he talked to everyone, we're able to live the life that we're living. We're able to, we're successful because of that. And even with the gym, how we started out, it was all word of mouth. It was all word of mouth. We talked to this person, and this person put us in place to talk to this person. So my advice is, if you're an entrepreneur, put your big girl or guy pants on and start talking and getting
Can I say
yourself.
That part for you? Because I won't say, put your big girl drawers on. And I can say that. I got 5 sisters. I'm the only boy and the oldest. Okay. My sisters don't play. When they say they're going to do something, they get it done. And if their hands gotta come up scarred, they don't mind, because they've set their goal on what they want to do. When we think about how we're gonna move forward, and we're running down to about 10 minutes, we're in a tough place as a country. We got racial division going on, social issues going on. We got COVID going on. What would you recommend, Ms. Robinson, for those that are thinking about starting a business in this environment? What would you tell them?
Actually, I've seen some experts talk about how this is such a perfect time to start a business. And the businesses that I saw falter more, the women I saw kind of falter more when COVID kicked in, were ones that had been resisting change, especially around technology. Mm-hmm. I was positioned already. I've been doing 2 Zoom meetings a month for 2 years. And so when I couldn't have in-person meetings anymore, I had 9 meetings a month. I was able to pivot almost immediately into online. And I knew women who were like, oh, but I don't want to be, it's just so, it's not going to work. It's not going to be the same thing. And I had resisted going online for a year probably before I did, because I love that connection. I'm all about connection. I thought, how can you connect like this? But we can. And I find it so amazing that we can connect like this. And so I think that's really important, to look around. There's some new opportunities that weren't there pre-COVID. There's some new gaps that need to be filled that weren't there pre-COVID. There's some opportunities, and whether you are thinking about starting a business, or you're in a business and you're finding some holes there, look to see what are the needs that some people have now that they didn't have in February. Mm-hmm. And can you do you have the skills and the passion for serving them? And start to look around and see what that might be. It's interesting that we, let the magazine go, the print magazine go, and started online a year ago. I couldn't be doing a print magazine during COVID. We wouldn't have any place to take it. People wouldn't want to deliver it. So it's all about the flexibility to see an opportunity, and then don't go after an opportunity just because it's there, but because you really feel like it's mine to do. It matches my skill set. It brings me joy to think about serving in that way. And also, there's just a whole lot of other things that I think are, let's just briefly say all the women entrepreneurs who are working from home already, but now they're schooling their children at the same time, or they're trying to make sure that their parent in the nursing home is okay. And so there's all these other pieces. More than ever, we need that network of people.
You got to have it.
To just say, help, I need some help, or I need I have women show up at my online meetings because they just want to talk to some adult women.
No, that's right.
They've been doing the school thing. So don't let this time discourage you. See it as an opportunity to either enhance what you're doing, let go of things that maybe weren't working anyway. And I like how Mia started, a lot. It works to start part-time if you don't want to let go of that income. I would never tell anybody, well, just quit that job and go do it.
There's no, listen to me, everyone. Don't do that. Do not do what I did. I jumped and forgot my parachute. Yeah. And so I promised I was going to share something. Zig Ziglar said, and he's one of the great ones in sales and communication. And I bought this. I drunk the Kool-Aid. Help enough people get what they want, and you'll get everything you want. I bought into that. I said, even if I don't make a dime, and in the first 3 years, I didn't make a dime. But I made network partners because I did just what both of you did. I connected people to other people, and they didn't forget about me. And in the process, it would come back. Hey, have you talked to Coach Terry? Because if you don't believe you can succeed and you're waiting on somebody else to convince you can, you're in a whole lot of trouble. And if you find yourself in that position, let me get a cheap plug in here. You need to call one of us. You need to call Mia, you need to call Miss Robinson, or you can call me. We aim to help you. Speaking of help you, can you please tell them where they can find you at, Miss Robinson, and your magazine and On Purpose and everything? Tell people where they can find you.
Okay. onpurposewomancommunity.com is the website. There's also a link there to the magazine. I'm having a new calendar installed on my website, so it's not working right now, so they can't really go in and see what I have coming up. But I also have a very large Facebook group that's open to all women. It's called the On Purpose Woman Global Community Group on Facebook. And you can go there and ask to join and see all the events that are coming up. It's a great place to connect, to be seen and heard. Let me shine a light on you. And a YouTube channel, also the On Purpose Woman Global Community YouTube channel. We've done a lot of really great interviews. Just started it about 4 months ago. And a lot of things about all kinds of things, entrepreneurial things, but also wellness and business and
support.
Yeah.
I know my wife is crazy about it. And is there a cost associated with connecting with you?
There is not. There are levels of membership when they go on the onpurposewomancommunity.com website. It says join us. Click on join us, and there is a free membership that right now you can attend all of our meetings, all 9 of them. Actually, there are 11 a month that you can show up on Zoom anytime you want. And I always say, if you haven't given me any money and you're at one of those meetings, it means you've got the free membership. There's also a very affordable $19 a month online business membership. That's specifically for women who are in locations where you don't have an in-person meeting to go to, because we will get back to those at some point. But right now, $19 a month pretty much works for everybody, or it's $195 for the year right now, just because of COVID times. That gets you all kinds of benefits and all kinds of ways that I can help promote you and support your business. It's not just for women entrepreneurs either. It's for women who just want to connect, want to meet some great women, feel uplifted, get support.
Guys,
Thanks for
I would highly recommend that you go to this site, that you plug in, and I want to share something with you. Uh, my mentor shared it with me. If you don't invest in you, you can't get anything out of you. It's just that simple. And we invest in Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola. We invest in cigarettes. We invest in alcohol. God knows we invest in shoes. But we don't invest on the inside of us so we can produce something on the outside of us. It's time to expand. And I want to use this word because sometimes we get trapped in the circle we grew up with. If you're still in the same position you were 5 years ago or worse, then you need to expand your circle. And one of the ways to do that is stop surfing or reading the posts from people you read every day and venture out into the web. There are millions, if not billions, of people on the internet who are looking to connect. And that's all you need is one. I got a call today out of Atlanta who said, my wellness organization wants to connect with you. We want to bring you in because of your leadership ability. I wasn't expecting that call. I wasn't expecting that to come. That comes because I never let go. My granddaddy would say, keep your hands to the plow. No matter what it looks like, keep your hands to the plow. And I did. And you can do the same thing. Mia, let me come up to you real quick. First of all, how are you continuing to be successful? And you share it with me, Uncle Ricky. Quite honestly, we're thriving right now. How are you able to do that in this current environment?
We found the gap. We found the gap. When COVID first happened, we found the gap. A lot of the gyms, as Ms. Robertson said, like, you got to be able to change. A lot of the gyms didn't change. They didn't get online. They weren't doing the live workouts. They weren't posting every day about their company. And I believe because we found the gap in the gym sector, we were able to flourish when other gyms weren't. So as the time went on, like we went outside. Gyms weren't open. We went outside. We social distance outside. We just kept finding the gaps so that we can continue to move forward. We kept uploading stuff every day since COVID started. We have uploaded on our social media 2 to 3 times a day, every single day.
Trust me, I see it. Now, I understand you got something you want to offer people. Is it you want to tell them about it now? You got a program you want to offer people?
Absolutely. So we have for up to 5 people, because I just do the health and fitness on my own. So up to 5 people, we have a free month of virtual training, health and fitness. We will cater to your needs. We'll get all the information from you for a free month if you contact us at fitnesspsf at fitnesspsf@gmail.com.
Say one more time, please.
fitnesspsf@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to us on Facebook. Same thing, Fitness PSF, and Instagram.
PSF, which stands for what now?
Potential Sports and Fitness.
Potential Sports and Fitness. They can find you on Facebook. And my understanding is from this broadcast, you're going to give the first 5 people 30 days.
30 days.
And can they do it virtual?
Virtual.
Wow. I want to know who those 5 people are, okay? I want to know. Well, you got one already.
Well, let's do it.
I'm serious. Hey,
Me too.
I'll email you as soon as we get off.
Well,
Please do.
One of the things we wanted to do, guys, was have Mia take us through a 3-minute workout. We're going to chop that down a little bit. I understand, Ms. Robertson, do you still have a dead stop time that you got to go? You don't? Yeah. You mind if we continue to go a little bit? Okay.
I'm good.
You're going to give 4 people an opportunity for 30 days to work out with you and your company, and you're going to give them 30 days of workout. Now, guys, let me tell you what that's going to do for you, because you heard her say that I coached her and challenged her. I did. But she also challenged me when she said she wanted a Serena Williams body. I looked at my body and didn't like what I had. I'd gone up to 272 pounds and I'm only 5'11". Anyone that knows anything about fitness will tell you that wasn't good. I made a decision one day that I wasn't going to let my stomach stop me from hugging, fully embracing my wife. I stopped eating bread. I stopped drinking sodas, and I walked every day, and I built it up to 3 miles a day, and I lost 31 pounds from September 1st to this date. And I didn't do any. You even asked me, Mia, what else did you give up? Because you're a foodie. Only thing I gave up is those things that were dragging me down. I don't care if it's food. I don't care if it's a toxic relationship. If you're going to move to better, you've got to figure out, as Ms. Robinson said, what is it you don't want? I didn't want to be overweight. I didn't want my stomach stopping me from embracing my wife or not being able to play with my grandson or wrestle with my sons when I got the chance because I was out of breath. If you're going to make a change in your life, I want you to do it today. One, you need to get with my niece, even if you don't get the free class, so she can take you through a virtual workout. Two, you need to get over to Ms. Robinson's site and connect with people that are going to support you. I went into her site and looked around. I clicked on it. I was inspired. Now, I'm different because when I look at videos and I look for leadership, I look at women. I look at what they're doing because they're more sincere about it and their egos aren't quite in the way as men are. And I've learned a lot about what I'm doing through watching that. So guys, even though you may not be invited to be in the group, go over there and take a peek at her site. You'll be inspired to go to the next level. You hear me? So Mia, are you ready to take us through a quick workout?
Right. So here's what I came up with just because of the space that I'm in right now.
Okay.
I'm going to walk you through one thing in each category. So I'm going to walk you through one thing that you can do for warm up, which is literally just walking in place. Let me push my chair out of the way. So you just walk in place. But
by
you
the way,
do it
there
at
go
a high
that Serena,
pace, right?
Serena Williams
and then the second
body,
thing, and this is more geared.
Go ahead.
So this is geared towards for if you're at home. So you can simply get a water bottle, right? So I'm going to sit down so I can be in the camera. So you're going to get a water bottle or two.
You're actually in the camera when you were standing up. You were good.
Okay.
We can see you clearly.
With this one. So you're going to get it and you're just going to push up, right? And make sure the water bottles are full of water. Don't cheat.
Uh-oh. 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 I've been drinking my water like you told me to. I'm sorry. Look, I got something though. I got two speakers. Everybody grab water bottles, grab something, okay? And let's get ready. I got two water bottles. I got two speakers here. I'm ready. Uh-oh. All right. Wait a minute. Are those staples?
They're not real heavy, but they'll do.
Right? So one thing you can do, you don't always have to have heavy weight, but if you want it to be harder, so what you do is you're going to go up and then you're going to go down slow, right? You go down slow.
Okay.
And then you go up and down slow. So that's much harder than if you're just doing that.
Right.
But if you go slower, that'll burn after a while.
That feels almost like, what do they call it? Isometrics. Is that right?
Yep, you isolating that muscle. Yep.
Yeah. And is there a number we should do on this?
I would do 10. So say if you're at your desk, I would do 3 sets of 10, right? Because you can do that in about 30 minutes. So if you do the next one, so we have the wall push up and you would have to, get out of, you can do it at your desk. So what you want to do is you just want to get at your desk and you just want to push up on your desk, right? So you can do 3 sets of 10 with that as well. I'm just getting real creative for people who are at home who have that 30-minute break and you got to get a little lunch in as well. So you want to do the shoulder press. You can do the push-up on the desk. You can do regular push-ups if you're feeling froggy that day, if it's Friday for push-ups. All right. And then for the lower body, here's my favorite one. You got the chair squat, right?
You say we got the chair squat?
Chair squat, right?
Okay.
I got my chair here. And this is for people with those bad knees.
You're talking about me.
No, it's okay. I'm not pointing at anyone. So one of the things I want to make sure you do is, all the books say push your hips back first, right? But I say push your butt back first because that gets better. That people really know. So you want to push your butt back, and then you want to sit, rock up, push yourself up, rock back, push yourself up. And if you're feeling froggy that day, if it's Fridays, it's the weekend, you can just do a regular squat, right? Okay. And so then we have our leg lifts, right? We want to take that water bottle, hold on to your desk, and lift your leg up. Keep that water bottle on your leg and just lift it. You're really going to feel those in the hips, right? And then at the end of that, we want to get a little endurance. So we want to get those high knees, right? So on a good day, if you're feeling froggy, really get it. But if you have bad knees, don't you even worry about it. You just want to go fast. Just pull them up fast, right? Hold on to the wall. Go as fast or slow as you want to, right? Just as long as you're getting that heart rate up. And then again, just your cool down. You want to do a few stretches. You can just cool down with your arm swing or anything like that.
Now, the only thing I want to advise people to do is make sure you check with your doctor and let them know you're going to start doing some exercise. I highly recommend that. But these exercises, Mia, for me, they seem like they could also be great for seniors who aren't able to get out right now. Those didn't seem too strenuous. Would you recommend it for them?
Absolutely. I would check with the trainer before I did most of all of them. Now, walking in place for a senior, if it's not from one end to the room to the other, walk at your own pace. But I would, set small goals to say, oh, I did it 1 minute today. Let me try to get 1:30 this tomorrow. So I would build it up if I were a senior, right? Okay. So I would make sure I check with someone before I actually started a workout regimen.
So the ones you gave us were the arm raise with the water bottles.
Shoulder press.
Shoulder press. Number 2, I think you went to
push-ups. So we have push-ups. So you can do regular push-ups if you're feeling froggy. You can do wall push-ups. It's just a push-up stance, or you can do it on your desk. Whatever works for you. And then after that, we had our chair squat. Now the chair squat are for seniors, people with knee issues or back issues, because it takes off your lower body. You're pushing up through your heel, right? But if you don't mark off any of those things, you do the regular squat. Don't cheat yourself.
Don't cheat yourself. And that's huge. I like that. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I want to thank you for giving time. Jean, if you don't mind, tell them where they can connect with you one more time, and would you let me know if you get any connections from this show, because we work real hard to make sure people have a place to go where they can build themselves and others. Would you please share?
I sure will. onpurposewomancommunity.com. They can go there. They can click on contact me. They can also click on getting on my email list to find out when I'm having these meetings. I also real quick want to tell you that I have 2 workshops scheduled in January on getting out of your own way. They will be on Zoom. So 5-hour workshops just for women, and there's 2 different dates people can attend. And if anybody that interests anyone, the way I do my workshops is you pay at the end based on the value that you receive and your ability to pay. So there's no upfront cost to attend. That's my gift to the community, and I'm always well taken care of. So I love doing it that way.
Wait a minute, hold on here. You done broke some news that don't make no sense. Did I hear you say people don't pay you up front to come to it? They pay you based on the value they get out of it?
And their ability to pay. So yes, I've been doing that because this is not my main source of income. And I decided years ago that I would rather do it that way and have a full room than to do all the marketing that it would take to charge what I know I can charge, what I'm worth. Because that's not my intention, is not to get a couple of high-paying clients. It's to fill a room and help as many people as I can. And as a result, I tell people, before you decide to do something like that, you got to be really clear that you're good with whatever shows up.
Whether it's one or 21.
Yes, I will tell you, I remember specifically when I do these in my home and, in non-COVID times, and there's a basket by the door when people leave, they can drop an envelope. I've given them an envelope with credit card. They can pay by credit card, check, or whatever. And there was a $5 bill in an envelope, and the woman wrote on it what it had meant to her. And I knew that $5 was somebody else's $500.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You just nailed what Z
and done and given me nothing, and yet she gave me $5, and it brought me to tears. And because there's always the other people who are getting great value and can pay, what it's worth. So yeah, and it just uncomplicates my life a whole lot doing it that way.
Well, I want to thank you for that, and I'll tell you, when I read that on your website, I looked at my wife and said, "This is good. I need to change." Remember, guys, we talk about opportunities. When I read that, I thought, maybe I'm doing it the wrong way. I'm doing it the traditional way when there's a new way to do it. And I had never seen that or heard of that until you had it on your website. And now I'm looking at doing it. And now you mention it, I know I've got to do it, because it's more important that people get the information than anything else, because we're all in this to help other people. I can't thank both of you enough for jumping in. And before we leave, I'm going to ask everyone to please keep my good friend, Dr. Luther Virgil, and his family, especially his brother, in your prayers. He was supposed to be with us tonight, give us an update on where we are on COVID. And unfortunately, because his brother fell ill and the family is trying to figure out how to deal with it, he couldn't be with us. Dr. Virgil, we love you. We're praying for you, and we're thinking about you. Please stay strong. To everyone else, remember what I've always said. Don't give up, don't give in, and don't give out. We don't have that much farther to go. And tonight, you got that much closer to understanding what you need to do in order to get started, to continue to follow your dreams, and how to connect. And you got 2 connections tonight, and I hope you take advantage of it. My niece Mia gave us a great routine to start practicing, regardless of your age. And because she takes this to corporate America, one of the things that's coming out of this is corporate America is going to be calling her saying, we want to work with you while our people are at home. So if you are a manager, this would be great to give your people, just to let them know you care, because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And speaking of know, Mia, you said something. I want to add something to this. It's good that who you know, but it's better who knows you. That's where word of mouth gets more people to you. Would you please do me a favor, everyone? Would you share this, because these 2 thought leaders and experts in their field have given you some great information tonight, and I want you to be able to cash in on it. My name is Success Coach Ricky Terry, and it's been my plum-pleasing pleasure to bring to you tonight my niece, Mia Terry Simpson. And by the way, I want to formally introduce you now to Miss Jenny Presley Robinson. Yes. Did I get it right?
Yeah, and that's my Facebook name. So if anybody wants to connect with me on Facebook, that's how they find me.
But it's a little bit more behind that Presley, and I wasn't going to leave, because and I know that was my favorite entertainer growing up, Elvis Presley. And I know you are, through your father, and I think some down the line, you guys are connected. Am I right?
Yes. Back in the early 60s, my dad got a letter from Elvis's father. And he was, for whatever reason, I don't remember why he was trying to track down relatives. I don't know. And my dad responded. I think they talked by phone. They realized that they were like maybe cousins 3 or 4 times removed. And nothing really came out of it. We didn't get any inheritance or anything. But it was just interesting, because I'd been teased. I hated the name because I was always teased about it as a kid. And I had red hair. So that was, a double whammy there. I was teased for red hair and for being, are you related to Elvis? And, I was a Beatles person. I wasn't an Elvis person. That was like old school to me. I even though I did love those Elvis movies as a kid that we talked about yesterday, Terry.
Yes.
Ricky, excuse me, Terry.
I answered to all of them. Remember, I was military. And
yeah, it's kind of cool now. I enjoy it. And I do really appreciate his talent a lot.
Well, I want to thank you. I can't thank you enough for being on. If there's ever anything we can do for you, all you need to do is send a text. Send me a pigeon. I'll respond.
I really appreciate
Mia,
that. Thank you.
I want you to really connect with Miss Robinson, and I want you to understand something. You haven't even hit your peak yet of what God's going to do in your life because you have been faithful over a little. He's going to bless you with a lot. And I want to thank you for taking time to be on this show. I want to thank both of you. And I want to thank my mother-in-law who was willing to do anything to watch the show tonight. So I know she was watching. I want to thank my wife and keep my wife in your prayers, guys. Okay. We're dealing with a little injury and we're trying to get it taken care of. But it's made her very uncomfortable. So please keep her in your prayers. Remember, it's more important to love each other than it is to dislike each other. We will go much farther together than we ever will apart. My name is Coach Rick Terry, and it's been my plum pleasing pleasure to be with you tonight. You guys be blessed, and thank you again for being a part of the show.